we'll start with Ben and then go to Wes and then Mike.
Yeah, Tony, just what adjustments did you see Jake make? Just 0 for 4 last night with 4 strikeouts. And if I remember correctly, he had an error at some point as well. And then he kind of turns it around in his last 2 or 3 at-bats, obviously at the big grand slam, and made some key plays in the field. Just what adjustments did you see him make over the course of last night?
Yeah, it's probably not the best answer in the world, but just saw him be himself. I mean, yesterday, whatever was going on, he would have the best explanation. I didn't ask him, but it was like he wasn't seeing the ball. I mean, some of those at-bats were crazy. I think he swung with one arm one time. And, difficult play in the field where he's had a couple of those this week where it's a slow chopper that might go foul. So to me, a challenging play there, but he was tremendous defensively today. And then I thought the at-bats more than anything were true to who he is. So I think he just did a great job of doing what the whole team needed to do last night, is hit the reset button and then come out and focus on going 1-0 today.
Wes. There? All right, we'll go to Ben then.
Mike, go.
Yeah, Tony, Jordan had a really nice weekend at the plate. What adjustments have you seen him make at the plate recently, and what kind of has led to the more competitive at bats and consistent hitting?
Yeah, I think just constantly challenging himself to figure things out. And I've kind of pointed out that may have done more harm than good early in the season, but eventually if something's important to you and you're constantly looking to make adjustments, it's going to work out for you in a positive fashion. But also at the same time, again, he's one of the guys I'm talking about when I say the numbers will even out just fine as long as the approach is there. Now, the more specific answer to your question that we saw it a ton in pregame today is just him using his lower half better. I think, everyone's seen some pop-ups and even one appeared today up on the infield, but, really kind of digging into those legs. The guy's lower half is arguably a Division I. We argue about it all the time. It's a somewhat college level lower half basketball wise with athleticism and strength, and he needs to use it. And you see some low line drives and hard hit ground balls coming off that bat. I think it's a direct result of that.
Troy and then Ryan. Troy, are you there? Ryan, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, Tony. I know we're a long way from the thought of a super regional or anything like that, but how beneficial is it to have all the rubber match games y'all have had this year and just find a way to win them in the fashion that y'all have this season?
Yeah, no, it's a very long way, very, very long way. But, as far as your question goes, I think there's been a lot of just days in general where our guys have found a way. I mean, Max Scherzer has that on the back of his spikes. I need to send that picture to him. Find a way every day is what it says. And that's easy to have on the back of your spikes, but to actually live it is something that Max does. He's a maniac. But our guys kind of have that little deal going too. So it just so happens this is the last game of the weekend. And I think our guys do a great job of responding if Saturday or game 2 doesn't go well. But they seem to finish strong. And so it's a feather in their cap for sure. I truly feel like, and I'm not trying to, I don't think he'll even hear this, but I've told the team, and I believe this in my heart, Coach Q, our strength coach, builds obviously stronger and athletic looking bodies. You guys can see from the stands, but there's a lot of mental and physical fortitude these guys have earned in their days with him and Woody, our trainer, with all the things they have to do. And I think that shows up late in the weekend when the typical guy is a little more fatigued, or maybe you don't have as much energy, or maybe you're in your feelings or whatever it might be. And they do a tremendous job of getting our guys tougher and stronger, and then staying on our guys about having their bodies where they need to be all the way out through the weekend and also all the way through the whole season.
Ryan.
What did you see from Blade today, especially, I guess, with runners on base? It seemed like he was more comfortable there than he'd been the past few weeks.
Yeah, more relaxed for sure. And his athleticism paid off. In a couple instances where he picked guys off, and then had just really good stuff. I mean, that's 2 weekends in a row where he looked like Blade Tidwell, and that guy's pretty good for us. Ultimately, it's kind of ironic. Old Tony Basilio was bad-mouthing me I say that tongue in cheek for not visiting Blade last weekend against College Station. And what do you know? Frank Anderson goes out there and says the magic words. That, in my opinion, was the turning point of the game, was that mound visit, and whatever he had to say to Blade, Blade needs to write it underneath his hat or remember it, because the response was incredible and he got us in the dugout, and then we were able to later score.
Joseph?
Do you think that this kind of hot and cold thing you guys have going on here, do you think that'll last, or is there something you guys are going to have to change in order to make it far in the postseason?
No, I think that's a fair question, but I also think equally fair answer is we would have to change conferences for that to happen. I mean, you know, a guy like Kumar Rocker sticks it on you, and then the next day you face a potential major league all-star, and you swing the bat pretty good. So the biggest thing is to not let the highs get too high and the lows too low. And I think our guys did a good job of responding from the last couple wins. You know, yesterday was a stalemate till the end of the game. We didn't finish the game well, coaches included. But our guys have been able to handle themselves from having success. And then when it's not so good, it gives them a little extra motivation to bounce back. So yeah, you may see some blips on the radar screen. But overall, if you look at win streaks in our league, they don't happen very often. So you're going to have to give blows and take blows. And when the postseason rolls around, you'll be ready because of it.
Try go back to Wes.
Yeah, Tony, when you talked early in the year about Redmond Wall, she was struggling a little bit, and you said, you know, that you were going to trust that guy until the day you died. I mean, what has changed for him the past few outings to kind of get back on track and look like himself? Has it been anything technical, or just that's the way baseball goes?
Yeah. No, you know me, I typically kind of steer away from and talk about mentality and things like that. I'm a big believer in it. It's not just smoke and mirrors. So a little bit of his mentality, he was that guy that thinking he had to do more. He's cruising along and it's like, I'm really good, so I might as well be super good instead of just being himself. But along with that kind of came a physical adjustment. In trying to do too much, he starts messing with the ball and doing a lot of different things. And it affected how he was throwing the ball overall to keep, you know, basically the answer a little short. But there was a physical adjustment made over the course of the last couple of weeks, and he's back to being himself, and that's all he needs to be. And again, if you're a strike thrower like him and Hunley and Cam Sewell and Kirby, every now and then these good hitters are going to get you. But the percentage certainly are in your favor when you throw anywhere close to like you're capable of. And today he did just that and actually was a little better, which, you know, you talk about Sunday, it's all about Sunday. It's a good feeling to have that guy out there on the mound. It's his type of day. It's a warrior day.
Trey?
Hey, Tony, from a mental aspect, from yesterday when you had guys chasing pitches when it comes to hitting as well, then you come out today and you have a big sixth inning where it seems like everything kind of flew into one. What is it about your ball team that they can flip a switch like that and they don't let the previous games or the previous 6 innings kind of get to them?
Yeah, I think it's determination. It's a group, and you kind of look around today because I'm thinking, you know, what are you going to talk about before the game, or what's a difference maker for us today? Coach Woodruff threw out the first pitch. You know, he's an SEC champion, and he asked, you know, what do you think your guys' number one strength is? And I think it's that closeness they have as a group. It doesn't mean they're all best friends when they leave the facility, but it's a close-knit group that all has each other's backs, and they figure if one guy doesn't get it done, then they'll get it done. If they don't get it done, then someone will pick them up. And if we don't get it done on a particular day, it increases the chances we're going to get it done the next day because it's a talented group. It's a group that works hard. And again, I think that determination they sprinkle in is kind of the magic dust, if there is some. And that's hard to have, or it's hard to coach, I can tell you that. But this group kind of has that little deal with them as it relates to several sets of circumstances, and fortunate enough to be in the dugout with them.
We'll take 2 more, Josh, and then we'll finish with Ryan.
Yeah, Tony, how important was it for you today to have Blade get you into the 6th inning with the lead? You know, given he's had a couple of short starts lately, and Sean and Kirby were working yesterday, they might not be available.
Yeah, no, it was enormous. We kind of sat down before the game really in more detail than we usually do and said, okay, this guy in this situation, this guy may be matching up with this Kentucky hitter. And, you know, all of it was kind of preparing for the worst. But I don't think anyone thought the worst was coming. I think Blade throwing the ball like he did down at College Station and being on our field, I thought was a good sign. He kind of relishes being in that spot we've talked about earlier in this interview of it's a rubber match, and he wants it to be a competitive situation. And so we felt good about where he'd get, but we really wanted him to be able to get to the 5th or 6th inning. And it was huge. It simplified things. And, our offense helped us, but let's say we only score 1 run in the 6th instead of the number that we put up, we would have been in a good position to kind of splice it up between Hundley, Sewell, Redmond, and maybe even Kerb or Mabry just for one hitter since they've been taxed a little bit. So he made it, to where the settings were in our favor on the mound, but the offense complemented what he did in tremendous fashion.
Is there any update on Pav and what exactly that timetable could look like for him to be back?
Yeah, so really, he's had that little splint on and was a great guy in the dugout over the course of the weekend. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say Jackson Greer, caught his butt off and then also, was tremendous at the plate. So all things are looking good for the Vols, but we really won't know an answer till about the middle of the week. They're going to leave that thing alone and then get back over there with the doctors and kind of assess before we get on a flight to Missouri where he stands. But I would expect him to be able to do something. He's at least going with us. He was not on the active list this weekend. So he'll be there. He'll be on the active list. And I would sense he would contribute in some form or fashion. I don't think we're going to pinch run him. I can promise you that. But I think he'll be ready to help us at some point soon.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.